I would let her lick my foot from heel to toe. I sincerely apologize for that. But I can't describe how this toxic web novel has me in a tight chokehold right now. And maybe the word novel for some of you turns you off from reading it, but ta-da! It's getting adapted into a manga. This web novel is so toxic, but it's toxic that it works. Like, I think that the toxicness will fix them in the end, which sounds wild, but hear me out. So, what is this novel I'm talking about? It's called A Story About Buying My Classmate Once a Week, or Shuukura for short, which I'll be calling that from now on. It's a wild title, I know, but it basically sums up the whole novel. It was written as a web novel by Hanada Usa back in 2020 before getting a light novel adaptation in 2023, then a manga adaptation in 2024. There is not an official English publication on this story, but there are amazing translators who translate the web novel and manga. And if you're impatient like me, you read the MTL version, which is fine. At the beginning of the story, we meet the two main characters, Miyagi and Sendai. Miyagi is just a normal regular high school student, while Sendai is one of the popular girls. One day, Sendai is trying to buy a magazine that her group of friends were talking about when she realized she didn't have enough money. Suddenly, Miyagi basically pops out of nowhere and offers her 5,000 yen. Using that money to buy the magazine, Sendai tries to hand Miyagi the change, and then they go about this weird exchange where they go back and forth about the money, where Miyagi doesn't want to take the money back while Sendai, of course, wants to pay her back. After a bit of back and forth, Miyagi then tells Sendai that if she wants to pay her back, then she can work for it. And that's where it begins, everyone. 300 plus chapters of chaos. But I will say before we get into things, it's hard to summarize the story since it's still ongoing and it's over 300 chapters, so bear with me. At the beginning, we actually don't assume she's a normal regular high school student. We're thrown straight into the freaky stuff. And when I say freaky, I mean Miyagi is a freak. But like, I would be too for Sendai. Sorry, back to the video. Miyagi is a lonely girl. She tells us about how her mom left her and her dad, and ever since then, her dad is barely home as well. And to be honest, I don't think we actually even see or hear from him throughout the story. She's lonely and is scared to have people close to her since she thinks that they'll just leave her eventually like her mom. So she's always kept Sendai at arm's length since she keeps thinking that their relationship will end at graduation. And throughout the story, she keeps repeating that. Sendai, on the other hand, is a people pleaser, hence being with the popular girls. She buys these magazines that she doesn't even like, watches these shows just because Umina, the leader, likes it, and says whatever Umina really wants to hear. But she also doesn't know how to express her desires and has a bit of a hard time to speak up for what she wants. This not only applies to her social outside life, but her family as well. She tries her best to fit into her family's expectation, especially when compared to her older sister. Now, you know the saying, 2 wrongs don't make a right? Yeah, trash that. Cause these two complex humans low-key make a right. They fit perfectly together even though individually they shouldn't. Sendai depends on Miyagi for affection. Affection she knows she cannot find with her family or friends. Around others, she wears a mask, always presenting the version of herself that people expect. But the moment she steps into Miyagi's room, that mask is taken off. There, she can be herself. She's already emotionally dependent on Miyagi. She knows it. And because she's used to listening, used to obeying, she always follows Miyagi's orders, but not without pushing the limits. If Miyagi tells her to lick her feet, Sendai will lick her feet, but then will bite her toe. If Miyagi orders her to kiss her, she'll lean in deeper, slipping a bit of tongue. She pushes the boundaries without ever crossing the line, always tiptoeing the edge. But in the end, it's not about being rebellious, it's actually about closeness. She wants to be seen and to be loved for who she really is. And who she really is a freak! Miyagi is more simple in this matter. In my perspective, she's just scared that Sendai will leave. She has this deep abandonment scar that just won't heal. She is scared to love and then to be abandoned. Both of them basically do this dance. Each time one of them steps forward, the other one steps back. But they both want the same thing. They want each other, but they both fail to communicate what they want. But I will say, once Sendai realized that she actually loves Miyagi, she's like an unstoppable force. Even when Miyagi takes one step back, Sendai will make sure to take 2 steps forward just to get closer. They're toxic, yet it helps them in a way as well. They know their problems and actively work on it at some point, but they work on it because of each other. So what do we have? We have 2 very complex girls who just don't know how to communicate. Now, yes, it has that whole cliche trope of miscommunicating, but I just don't know how to explain it. The writing that Hanada Usa does just pulls you in. At first, when one of my old friends recommended this novel, I was like, this is gonna be some basic toxic novel that's a bit spicy. But I was wrong. The more I read, the more I was pulled in. Especially because we get that point of view change every 4 chapters or so. We see more into both of their personalities and perspectives on how they feel and what they want. Of course, there's more to it than what I've just explained. I mean, there's 300 chapters, and honestly, I only talked about less than 100 chapters. It's hard to summarize something with everything going on. But if you love toxic Yuris and love a good slow burn, then I really recommend this web novel for you. It's just such a well-written novel that just makes you wonder when they'll get together and if they'll even be honest with each other. I know I talked a lot about the novel and not the manga, but it's because there's only 8 chapters out right now for the manga. But I will say the art is amazing in there. I love it. Now that I've gotten the proper stuff out the way, I just want to say, Sendai, if you're out there, hit me up. I'm here. I'll be waiting for you. Arms wide open and feet bare. I'm so sorry. But thank you all so much for watching. If you want to talk to other Yuri lovers like myself, join the Discord down below and I'll see you next time. Oh, forgot to address the elephant in the room. The feet licking. I think a lot of people who hear about this story literally get hit with the feet licking. You know what? If that pulls you in, then go ahead. But if not, and you're on the fence about reading it, I will say don't worry about it too much. As you read more, the feet licking is just barely there. Anyways, that's it. Bye.